care. He did a whole lot to a whole lot of people. And now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights. Some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with them. I don't give
The camera rolls and there it is. The voice we've all been waiting for. Gene Deal, the man who once stood just inches behind the throne, now standing over what's left of it. His words cutting through the noise like a blade. This isn't just an interview. This is a public execution broadcast live for the world to witness and deal. He's not just a witness. He's the prophet who saw this collapse coming years ago. The man who whispered warnings while the empire still glittered. Now with the dust settling and the gavel dropped, he's finally speaking his truth. His reputation is over and all his accomplices left him. That line isn't just a quote. It's the drumbeat of this entire saga. The rhythm that's been building for decades, and today it's deafening. The data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, the court determines that this sentence is 50 months of incarceration. 4 years.
Data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration.
50.
4 years.
4 years.
5-0.
4 years, 2 months.
2 months.
Yep. Wow. 50 months.
We can almost see the courtroom now. The marble floors echoing with the weight of Judge Arun Subramanian's voice as he reads out the sentence. 50 months. 50 months for 2 violations of the Mann Act for the crimes that finally caught up to a man who thought he was untouchable. But let's be real, this wasn't just about transporting women across state lines. This was about power, about control, about a mogul who built an empire on the backs of silence and fear. And when the judge called him a danger at any age, the room must have frozen. Because that's the thing about men like him. They don't just fall, they're pushed.
Said that specifically, he said, quote, a history of good works can't wash away the record. He pointed out that two of Diddy's accusers and former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane, he talked about their testimony specifically. The judge pointing out that after Diddy publicly apologized for the leaked video of him assaulting Cassie, that Diddy assaulted his current girlfriend.
Still lingers in the air. Her voice steady as she described the years of manipulation, the substances, the violence, the way he turned her life into a performance for his amusement. And then there was Jane, the woman whose name we don't know, but whose story we'll never forget. Their words didn't just fill the courtroom. They filled the gaps in a narrative that's been whispered about for years. The beatings, the blackmail, the tapes, the way he'd allegedly pay off witnesses, set up fall guys, and walk away clean. Gene Deal didn't just confirm what we suspected. He laid it all out like a map pointing to the spots where the bodies were buried. Relevant conduct. The judge called it a polite way of saying, we know what you did. We just can't charge you for all of it.
He got caught with never got charged with the and the judge knew that. That's why the judge said relevant conduct. You understand? He got caught with guns. Guns in the house with the serial number. The judge knew that. You understand?
And then came the betrayal. Because when the verdict hit, the rats didn't just jump ship. They started swimming for the horizon. His lawyers, the same ones who once spun his image like gold, were suddenly choking back tears, scrambling for excuses. One called him a civil rights activist, and even Deal had to laugh at that. He got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory, he said. But make no mistake, this was still the end. The jets, the mansions, the red carpets, all of it fading into the background as the mug shot took center stage. The man who once threw parties that cost more than most people's lifetimes was now begging for mercy. His children sobbing in the gallery, his empire crumbling in real time.
So he got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory. But for a dude like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, went to federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim.
Here's the part that stings the most. The arrogance, the sheer unshakable belief that he walked. Dale told us how Diddy had speaking engagements booked in Miami like the sentence was just a formality. Like the judge would pat him on the back and send him on his way. And then the judge left the bench, took a break, came back with 50 months. 50 months in a place where the steel beds have no pillows, where the food is rumored to crawl, where the only thing worse than the violence is the silence. Who told him he was getting out? Deal asked, and the question hangs there heavy and unanswered. Because the truth is, no one did, he told himself. And that more than anything is what sealed his fate. 4 years, 2 months in prison. Wow.
4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year. He gets some time. He gets 15% credit, so he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
2 months. So, and then he gets another 15% in the remaining.
Yeah.
He's out in 2 years.
Yeah. Should have stuck with the original guess.
I know. Yeah.
Courtroom cleared, but the story didn't end there. Because this wasn't just about the sentence. It was about the unraveling. The way his own children took the stand, their voices trembling as they begged for leniency as they called him a changed man. Changed after decades of allegations of lawsuits piling up of women finally finding the courage to speak. The judge heard them out, but he also heard the victims. He saw the photos of their injuries. He read the letters detailing the trauma. And when he said this was subjugation, it wasn't just a legal term. It was a verdict on a life built on exploitation. Gene Deal's laughter still echoes when he talks about the defense's desperation, the way they threw everything at the wall, charity work, family ties, even the idea that prison might rehabilitate him. Rehabilitation for a man who allegedly incapacitated women, who paid to hide evidence, who turned his inner circle into a rotating door of enablers and scapegoats. The system might not be perfect, but some crimes don't deserve a second chance. They deserve a reckoning. And as Deal put it, God just going to have to take that off my heart because this isn't about justice in the abstract. It's about the women who lived it, the ones who testified, the ones who settled, the ones who are still waiting for their day in court.
About all that. So now, if he's doing that, and the judge is saying all of the stuff that he did that was wrong, what else? Having security take people, put them up in abandoned buildings and threaten them. The judge had all that information.
And then there's the prison itself, MDC Brooklyn, a place so notorious they call it hell on earth. The same walls that held R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell now hold a man who once ruled the music industry. No pillows, no privacy, just steel and concrete and the constant reminder that power is temporary. His lawyers painted a picture of a man who'd inspired others, who'd built programs behind bars, who'd found God in a cell. But inspiration doesn't erase the past. It doesn't bring back the years stolen from his victims. It doesn't undo the fear he instilled, the lives he derailed. The most chilling part, the way his children stood up there defending a father who'd allegedly shown them what it meant to treat women like property. One son even claimed Diddy taught him to treat women like queens. Queens. After everything we've heard, after the tapes, the lawsuits, the whispers of a system that let him operate with impunity for so long, the cognitive dissonance is staggering. But then again, so is the power of a father's influence. Even a father like him. And now, as the cell door clangs shut, the questions linger. Will this be the end or just another act in a story that refuses to stay buried? Because men like him don't just disappear. Their legacies linger in the music, in the headlines, in the lives of the people they left behind. The judge called this a deterrent, a message. But for every woman who finally feels heard, there's another wondering if 50 months is enough. If it's justice or just the cost of doing business.
To me, I never want to see a black man going to jail based on the circumstance, based on the situation, based on he may not have the legal team, because a lot of us get railroaded. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us get railroaded. So I don't never want to see no black, yo, that's what these cats are gonna be saying. Yo, they want to see. Nah, bro. I fought to keep guys out of jail for 27 years.
Gene Deal's voice drops to a whisper when he talks about the old Diddy, the one who would have collapsed under the weight of this moment. But this isn't the old Diddy. This is the man who survived on substances and ego, who turned his trial into a spectacle, who still even now believes he's the hero of his own story. The substances might be out of his system, the mansions might be out of reach, but the mind that's harder to break. And as the lights dim on this chapter, one thing is certain. The world is watching, waiting, wondering what happens when the doors open again. Because 50 months is a long time, but for a man who spent decades building an empire on secrets, it might just be the beginning of the end. And if Gene Deal is right, if this really is the fall, then the question isn't just about what happens in prison. It's about what's left when he gets out. The money gone, the influence fading, reputation in tatters. All that's left is the truth, raw and unfiltered, staring him in the face. And for a man who's spent his life running from it, that might be the harshest sentence of all. The fluorescent lights never stop buzzing in Diddy, Brooklyn. They cast a sickly glow over the steel beds, the 1.5-inch mattresses. The cell's so narrow you can touch both walls if you stretch out your arms. This is where the music stops. This is where the legend of Diddy, once the untouchable king of hip-hop, now lives in an 8x 10 feet box with no pillow, no privacy, and the constant reminder that power is just a memory. His lawyer, Mark Agnefialo, didn't mince words when he described the conditions to reporters. A very difficult place to be an inmate, but difficult doesn't begin to cover it. This is a facility where inmates have been stabbed in broad daylight, where brawls turn fatal, where the food is so infested with rumors of maggots that even the Bureau of Prisons had to issue denials. And yet, for a man who once dined on caviar, the real horror might just be the silence. No entourages, no yes men, just the hum of the lights and the weight of what's left.
So again, after that initial review of his current medical situation during his physical, and then there's follow-up to that process if there's something found, immediately. But, you have to understand, daily there are medical staff walking through the units, doing what we call sit call and asking inmates, are they okay? And then you have folks that are walking around.
When the photos of Diddy surfaced from his latest court appearance, the world did a double take. The man who once commanded rooms with his sheer presence now looked like a shadow of himself. Rare, gaunt, his face etched with the kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from sleepless nights in the studio. Journalists called it astonishing. Insiders whispered about the toll of withdrawal, the stress, the realization that the empire he built was crumbling brick by brick. But let's be real, this wasn't just about losing weight. This was about losing everything. The mansion, the jets, the ability to make a phone call without it being monitored. Even his own reflection must feel like a stranger now. Gene Deal's words echo here. God put him there. And if that's true, then this cell isn't just punishment, it's a reckoning.
He would definitely go out in his institutional jumpsuit. He would be handcuffed, leg irons, and what we call a Martin chain, which is the waist, the chains around your waist, handcuffs, and then the what we call a black box. That would be a little mechanism that would go over the handcuffs to make sure that he is not moving around necessarily.
He is not moving around necessarily. There's a cruel irony in the fact that Diddy's new address is a dormitory-style unit with 20 other men, an air hockey table, and a microwave. This is the same man who once parties where the guest list read like a who's who of Hollywood, where the sparkling beverage flowed like water, and where the rules were whatever he said they were. Now he's just another inmate on 4 North, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning for head counts, showering in communal bathrooms with nothing but a thin curtain for privacy. And the kicker, he's not even the most infamous person in the room. Luigi Manon, the man accused of shooting a CEO, reportedly drew more attention from the other inmates, leaving Diddy once the center of every room fading into the background. The tantrums, the frustration, the sheer disbelief that the world had moved on without him. It's almost too perfect, almost poetic. Because this is what happens when the spotlight turns off. You're left in the dark listening to the echoes of your own voice. But here's where it gets even uglier. Because Diddy didn't just lose his freedom, he lost his army. The lawyers who once fought tooth and nail for him, some of them quit. The associates who once swore loyalty, they're flipping, cutting deals, saving themselves. The industry that once bowed at his feet, it's rewriting history, distancing itself, pretending it never knew. Gene Deal's laughter rings in our ears. All his accomplices left him, and why wouldn't they? When the ship starts sinking, the rats don't just jump, they start pointing fingers. The lawsuits are piling up. The allegations keep coming. And every day, another piece of the myth gets chipped away. This isn't just a fall from grace. It's an eraser. In the moment, it just felt like...
What? Like, is this fun for him? Is this like a test?
And then there are the whispers, the ones that make this story feel like a horror movie. The rumors that a guard had to stop another inmate from shanking Diddy. The claims that he started a fake re-entry program inside just to look good for the judge. The leaked photos of food so disgusting that even the Bureau of Prisons had to scramble for damage control. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about desperation. A man who spent his life controlling the narrative is now reduced to begging for scraps of dignity. The same man who allegedly paid to hide evidence, who threatened witnesses, who turned his inner circle into a web of silence, is now the one being watched. And the world, it's watching right back. Let's talk about the food for a second, because in a place like MDC Brooklyn, meals aren't just meals. They're a reminder of how far you've fallen. Diddy's Thanksgiving dinner last year, roast, turkey for lunch, followed by a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for dinner. That's it. No five-star chefs, no custom menus, just institutional slop served on a tray eaten under lights that never turn off. And the stories about maggots, about beans crawling with larvae. The Bureau of Prisons can deny it all they want, but the damage is done. Because when you're used to the finest things in life, even the idea of eating something infested is enough to break you. This isn't just punishment, it's humiliation. A man who once had the world on a string is now picking through his food, wondering if it's safe to eat. A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combone speaking out in the new interview with new allegations about wild parties in. And then there's the question of safety, because MDC Brooklyn isn't just a prison, it's a pressure cooker. Overcrowded, understaffed, and violent inmates have lost their lives here. Fights break out without warning, and Diddy's not just any inmate. He's a target, a man with enemies, with a reputation, with a past that's caught up to him in the worst possible way. The rumors about the shanking attempt, whether they're true or not, they tell us something. They tell us that even behind bars, he's not safe. That the world he built, one of power, of control, of fear, is now turning against him. And the guards, they can only do so much. The rest is up to fate. But here's the thing about fate. It's got a sense of humor, because Diddy didn't just lose his freedom. He lost his legacy. The music, the brand, the idea that he was untouchable. It's all unraveling. The lawsuits keep coming. The allegations keep surfacing. And every time a new story breaks, another piece of the myth fades. His children stood up in court and called him a changed man. But changed from what? A man who allegedly spent decades manipulating, controlling, hurting. A man who built an empire on the backs of women he treated like property. The judge saw through it. The world sees through it. And now, so does he. Gene Deal said it best. He'll see the streets again, but he'll never walk among us the same. And that's the real sentence. Not the 50 months, not the fine, but the knowledge that when he finally steps back into the sunlight, the world won't look at him the same way. The industry won't welcome him with open arms. The fans won't forget. The women he hurt, they'll still be here, still be speaking, still be demanding accountability. And him, he'll be a cautionary tale, a warning. A man who had it all and lost it because he thought the rules didn't apply to him.
Man, I feel good, man. I feel good way before the sentencing, and I'm gonna feel good way after it. You know what I'm saying? That the sentencing don't have anything to do with how I feel. It just goes me to show, that tells me when God puts you in a position and puts you in a place to be involved in something, his word ain't never.
So what happens now? Does he come out humbled, broken, or does he come out the same man he's always been, just with fewer options? Does he try to rebuild, or does he fade into the background, another fallen king in a world that's moved on? The truth is, we don't know. But we do know this. The Diddy who walked into that courtroom isn't the same one who's sitting in that cell. And the Diddy who walks out, he'll be a stranger to us all. And that, my friends, is the real tragedy. Not the fall, not the sentence, but the end of a myth, the end of an era, the moment when the music stops, the lights go out, and the world realizes that no amount of money, no amount of power can save you from yourself. So tell us, when the doors finally open, what's left? A changed man, a broken one, or just another ghost of hip-hop's past haunting the halls of an industry that's already forgotten his name? Stay curious, stay bold, and remember, the truth always finds its way to the surface. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your guard up.